Welcome to Salute to the Ears, where my family and I discuss everything Disney, from parks, food, and rides to travel tips, movies, and more. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Salute to the Ears. I am your host, Jeremy Simon, and with me once again is my wife, Erica.
Hey, y'all.
And it is Mother's Day, so happy Mother's Day.
Thank you.
And happy Mother's Day to any moms listening to this. And we're going to go to part 2 of our must-dos.
So as we're prepping for our next trip with our kids and my dad to celebrate Brooklyn's 13th birthday, we are going over with the kids, and even a little bit, we kind of talked to Dad about it last night too, at dinner, of like, hey, what are we wanting to do? Like, what are those things that is your like thing that you have to go do when we are in this park, and why? Because it matters as far as how we plan out our days, how we lay out what we do, and, how we're going to end up remembering this trip.
Right. I think it's probably a good idea to come up with, like, must-dos, because the park's been busy. Up until this last week, the park's been busy.
And I'm anticipating that the parks in general are going to be very busy when we are there, because it is after Guardians opens. It is after many schools have gotten out for summer break. Not all of them. Several of them still go into like that second, third week of June. So we'll miss the East Coast schools, but we still have a lot of schools that are going to already be out and people who are already taking vacations.
Right. And if you have those must-dos when it's crowded, then you at least get those done. You're not missing your favorite stuff because you're waiting for lines necessarily to go down.
Especially now, this is something we didn't really touch on as far as when we talked last week about Animal Kingdom. We didn't talk about using Genie Plus.
Right.
The only thing we plan on using Genie Plus in Animal Kingdom is Flight of Passage and using that individual lightning lane. The difference is this week we are talking about Hollywood Studios, and Hollywood Studios is a completely different beast when it comes to access, rides, and entertainment.
Right. Expect your longest lines of your trip to be there.
Yeah.
Next
is Magic Kingdom after that.
Right. They just have the most amount of thrill rides. So I think that park draws the most locals. Mm-hmm. And it's a fairly small park to begin with.
It really is. I mean, I don't think that they anticipated it growing to the thrill ride aspect that it has become when they first opened it. And because of that, they thought that it was going to be having that smaller footprint was going to work. It doesn't now that they've,
Right.
expanded and grown. It's going to be interesting to see how much more they try to grow and expand there as needed,
Yeah. If they ever settle the whole Marvel thing with Universal there's a lot of talk of people thinking like their Adventures Campus is going to be at Hollywood Studios. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if they...
It would make the most sense.
It would make the most sense, but at the same time, one, it's just going to really increase the crowds there. And two, you don't got the room.
I almost think we're going to end up seeing almost kind of similar to how Universal has kind of a two sides that
Maybe.
You have to have to travel between.
Yeah.
You can walk, but it's a walk. I kind of think that there's going to end up being something like that where it's going to be one side of the highway and the other. And
it could be.
Anyway, that's a whole other podcast of theories of Hollywood Studios. But one of the things about it is that Hollywood Studios is such a beast with thrill rides, entertainment. You just have a lot that you can go and do. And a lot of very specific lands to explore and spend time in versus just like, okay, I did that ride and I'm out. And we are planning on, and pretty much from all of the recommendations we have seen from all the vloggers, bloggers, podcasters that we listen to, is that if there are any parks that you are planning on or you are wondering, should I get Disney Genie Plus? This is the get you into lightning lanes. This is not the regular Disney Genie tip board that is in your My Disney Experience app. This is you were paying the $16 per person to be able to get access to those lightning lanes and those times, similar to the old FastPass system of Hollywood Studios and Magic Kingdom are the top two.
Absolutely.
And so narrowing down a must-do was kind of difficult for Animal Kingdom.
Yeah.
Just because so many, kind of our two, the top three, we were all like, okay, this is 1A and
right.
and 1B, and then there's 2. Like, this is huge. This is like a huge, wide.
Right. And just a quick recap, what we're doing when we say our must-dos, it's a must-do ride, it's must-do food, and then must-do entertainment. Entertainment can be show, cavalcade, meet and greet, anything like that.
Yeah. Anything that constitutes that, like, it's not a ride, you might have to stand in line for it, but you are essentially kind of sitting back and being entertained with it versus...
Yeah.
This is probably...
For me, okay, we're going to start with rides. For me, I knew going into this one, this was probably going to be the hardest ride one, other than what both Jackson and I picked, and that's Rise of the Resistance. I feel like I got to do Rise this time.
Yeah, you and I did not get a virtual queue when we went last time for Rise.
No.
And that was the most disappointing part of our trip, for sure.
Absolutely.
And I will say it 100 times, it's the most frustrating thing I think about virtual queues is the lottery system and how some people get in over and over and over again, and other people who only have one chance don't get anything.
Right.
And so it's a better system, I think, now with lightning lanes and having the standby option for Rise.
If you're willing to stand in line, you can get on it.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to buy it as a fancy ride or...
As Molly says,
a fancy ride. Because that just sounds
I know.
better.
It's like individual lightning lanes is a mouthful. And the... recap on that. Your individual lightning lanes, one in each park right now.
Right.
Until August, mid-August right now, is what the website currently says. And at Hollywood Studios, your individual lightning lane ride is Rise of the Resistance in Galaxy's Edge. It is absolutely my must-do as well. It is my dad's must-do. Brooklyn's really excited about it too. Daxon wants to ride it. Like, it kind of has to be our top ride because it is the newest.
It's the newest ride at Hollywood Studios.
It's the newest ride at Hollywood Studios.
Well, take that back. Did it? No, it did come out after Mickey and Minnie's.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. You're right.
Yeah, because we rode Mickey Minnie.
Right.
They are. It has to be our top. I mean, it has to be our must-do. I'm curious what your next one is besides that.
Okay, well, it wasn't Brooklyn's top one. Her top one was Mickey and Minnie's. She really feels like she has to ride that ride, which I can see that for her.
Yeah.
That's more up her alley.
Yeah.
Like what she really likes. If Rise wasn't there, it's tough for me because so many of them are so good. Like Mickey and Minnie's is really good. Tower of Terror is iconic to that park.
Yeah.
It's
now the face of that park.
Absolutely.
The same way that the Tree of Life is to Animal Kingdom, and the castle is to Magic Kingdom, and the ball is for Epcot.
And then Slinky Dog, especially at like sunset or at night, is fantastic.
It's so pretty in there at night. Going into Toy Story Land, I think my absolute favorite time to be in there is at night.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
sunset into it getting dark.
Right. I think it sets the scene of what they were going for better.
Oh
Of
yeah.
you're a toy in a backyard.
Yeah, the Christmas lights being hung kind of gets lost on you during the day. Feels a little more chaotic, but then when you see it all aglow at night, it just works. I would absolutely say that I think Toy Story Land is probably my second after that, after Rise. I want to do Mickey Minnie's again. I'm absolutely fine to do that. It's up there. It's definitely
Right.
in my top 5. I have a hard time between Slinky Dog and Toy Story Mania.
Yeah.
I love Toy Story Mania.
We're just a competitive family to begin with.
I so wish that it was like there was a video game option of Toy Story Mania. I would play that like
pull string and all.
maybe, but like even be okay with it as like
Your
just a
forearms
button.
would be jacked.
I would be okay with it just being an Xbox button though. Like I do. I love that kind of like carnival game type.
Right.
Like I love the like
No, it's fun. Absolutely, it's fun.
it's everybody always laughs. You can just hear giggling from other cars. You know, you hear people, razzing each other and just like giving each other a hard time, and you're trying to beat, the score of the people in the car with you, and
Right.
I have yet to be on there and really have people who are like grumpy
Yeah.
or
No, I
like
agree.
upset with that ride. It is
Yeah.
the one ride I feel like everybody comes off of and is just like,
Right.
you get to be a kid. You get to just play this game together, and it feels really fun. So I would say that one probably over Slinky Dog, and only because for me, Slinky Dog is too short for the amount of time that you have to wait in line to ride it.
Right. Yeah. It is. It's usually a long line. That's the one. Like if you're using Genie, and you want to ride Slinky Dog, you get it that morning
Yeah, that
because
needs to
it
be
will be gone.
out.
It will be gone quick.
That is definitely one of the ones you want to get quickly. It's kind of
Yeah.
like, are you more interested in that one, or are you more interested in Smuggler's Run?
Right.
As a family, because those are going to be your two
Yeah.
of your big ones. As
Tower
far
of Terror
as
goes quick.
Tower
too.
goes quick.
Especially because right now there's only one side of the tower going.
No, I'm really hoping that they get that other side fixed.
Because that line is
Sooner rather than
usually
later.
100-minute plus right now.
Yeah, I can't even process standing in that line for
Right.
almost 2 hours, and I didn't ride it last time,
Right.
and I don't know that I will
This time.
this time. The older I've gotten, the worse my motion sickness has gotten. So
Yeah.
certain rides
No.
just
Jackson absolutely loves that ride. That's one he and
Mm-hmm.
I. It was one of his very first rides, if not his first ride.
I don't think it was his very first one. I don't think Hollywood
pretty
Studios was our
close.
first park, but it was definitely up there. It was
Yeah.
his first big thrill
real
ride,
Yeah. Yeah.
for sure.
And he didn't know how to react to getting off it. Didn't know if he should laugh or cry. But now he loves rides. So,
Now he's an adrenaline junkie like you. Okay, so definitely Rise is up there on ours.
right.
Mickey Minnie, close second,
Yeah.
especially Brooklyn, that's her pick. But then Toy Story Land rides are also way up there for us.
Absolutely.
And yes, like the three of us, Brooklyn hasn't been on Rock and Roller Coaster.
Right.
But we're trying to convince her.
I don't know if
I don't know that we're
going
gonna
to
get her on that one, but she is wearing her Aerosmith t-shirt down there, so I'm hopeful that maybe I can just talk her into
Yeah. Maybe.
maybe.
Okay.
It's one of my favorite roller coasters I've ever ridden. I
Yeah.
really do like that one. It is one of my favorites, and it was one of the reasons why I was willing to ride a particular roller coaster at Silver Dollar City in Branson with Jackson, because it has a similar launch style and
Yeah.
and pattern. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a similar ride as far as the
Right.
coaster itself.
No.
And so I was like, okay, I can handle that one because I know how I
Right.
like Rock and Roller Coaster. But Rock and Roller Coaster Tower Terror, I mean, you
So
really
many
can,
good rides there.
You really can hit any of the rides that are there and be like, yep, that was great. There's not one that is like bad. The biggest issue is the height requirements. Rock and Roller Coaster has your largest height requirement at 48 inches.
And then
Tower of Terror is only 40.
right.
Which always shocks me, but I mean, the first time Jackson rode it, he was 3.
So yeah. So I think as equally as hard as it was to pick a ride outside of Rise in this park, I had equally a hard time picking food, and it was more so on the opposite end of the spectrum for me.
How so?
I feel like Hollywood Studios, before Galaxy's Edge opened, used to have so many really, really good snacks. Mm-hmm. And I feel like they've gone away from that.
They had a lot more places
They
that
had a
did
lot more
very
places,
specific,
right.
like, well, you had a couple of very specific shops and places to eat
Right.
within the whatchamacallit, the cityscape.
You're right. What was it called? It was called like
Something America.
Riders something. I forget. I'm drawing a blank.
I can't think of what it's called.
No.
It's gonna drive me crazy.
Yeah.
But there were a couple of the Streets of America. There were a couple of really cool little places back in there. There was there just seemed to be more in the way of, oh, you don't want to sit down and have a whole meal? Here you go.
Right.
You do have some really fun themed restaurants, which is nice.
You do.
I do really enjoy a themed restaurant. I do enjoy a buffet. Like, it's not a buffet right now, but I
think they are back to buffets. If they're not, they are real soon.
Okay. I do enjoy the old Hollywood style that still exists.
No, and that's fun.
Particularly within food in many parts of Hollywood studios.
Right.
But it is harder to find some of those snacks. Now, however, there is one snack that has remained, or really it came back, but it is mine and Jackson's top snack.
Okay.
It was there before.
Yep.
It has come back. It is the best. In the last 2 times that when we went by ourselves and the last time we took them, it was one of the snacks that we missed. It was on our list. It was a must-do, and we
didn't get it.
Didn't get it. And that is the carrot cake cookie.
Right. And you can get that over at the Trolley, which is Starbucks now.
I know. I'm so excited.
So, yeah, Jackson will like that. They used to have all kinds of like snacks that this was the only place you could get them.
Yeah.
And I like what you're saying with the theming of some of the restaurants. It's fantastic. Mm-hmm. I just feel like sometimes the food in there is hit and miss.
I think it can be, and I think you and I had a hard experience with that as far as last time we went, because it was still very pandemic timeline, and so options were limited,
right?
You know, in comparison to normal operations, and even then when we went in 2019, we were doing dining plan, so our options were not limited, because we really had a lot of options. You could pretty much pick anything, but sometimes you had to like, well, I got to pick this, and this. Like,
right. And it's so many times, especially when we're, I guess, doing dining plan, it's, you have so many snacks. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times it's, oh, I'm going to get a snack. And you're like, well, if you're going to get a snack, I'm going to go ahead and get a snack too. Mm-hmm. And because what you really want's on the other side of the park.
Yeah.
So sometimes that's how that falls. Brooklyn's snack is along kind of the same lines.
Okay.
It's another cake-like cookie, I guess you would say. And that's the Wookiee cookie.
I knew it. I knew it was going to be the Wookiee cookie.
Yeah.
Which I'm really surprised by.
She likes oatmeal cream pies.
That's true.
So that didn't necessarily shock me. It was, I'm like, okay, yeah.
We like cookies, okay? It's just the thing.
I think mine's a little bit more broad. So I guess I'm maybe going to cheat a little bit. I think you need
No fair.
I think you need to get something back in Galaxy's Edge.
I do love the way that they've themed some of the food and stuff in Galaxy's Edge.
Some of it is like chicken yip tip or whatever it's called. It's like, it's just a fried chicken breast and macaroni and cheese and broccoli. Mm-hmm. Like, it's nothing crazy, but they present it differently.
It really, I think that is one of the keys of those theming of all of the food around Hollywood Studios. And it's one of my favorite parts about Disney in general is the theming, right? In across all the parks, across all the things, all of the magic is that theming that ties those things that like tie things together, right?
Right.
It makes you feel like you are really a part of it versus being just an outsider stepping
Right.
into it, right? But they really do a good job of the presentation of that food with
Right.
those more themed restaurants like that,
Right.
like 50s Primetime Cafe, where, the types of plates that everything comes out on, very
Right.
home style, like diner, like,
Like old school,
yeah.
in old school rules, keep your elbows off the table. Like,
Our kids are gonna be it's gonna be awful.
Right.
I'm fully expecting right now Jackson's gonna be in the corner getting shamed.
Jackson will just walk out. He'll be like, I'm going to go ride rides.
He's your dad when it's like with that. He's embarrassed. He's like, nope, I'm out.
Right. But I think in Galaxy's Edge, you have a wide range of things. You can go over to Docking Bay 7 or Ronto Roasters, or you can just go get a drink at Olga's. Mm-hmm. But I think going back there and experiencing that and that theming, I think is probably my must-do. Like, I can't necessarily narrow it down to one thing. Oh, I got to eat this.
I would say when we go to Galaxy's Edge, I do want a Ronto wrap.
Do
It's
ya?
one thing we haven't done.
I did a breakfast one.
You did a breakfast one.
Right.
I would like to get a Ronto wrap, I think.
I just knew I would not like the lunch one because I'm not a big coleslaw guy.
Yeah, see, I like coleslaw, so I'm kind of looking forward to
Right.
to possibly doing that one. I I actually am a little like there's very few places at Disney World where I'm like, oh, I don't know that we've talked about that. I've been sober since Christmas.
Right.
For no other reason than I was pretty sure it was giving me headaches. And just stopped drinking any alcohol. I don't have anything against it. I'm not like, you still drink.
Right.
It's not a thing, but there are very few things that in times when I'm like, oh, that sounds really good now.
Right.
And Galaxy's Edge and Olga's, there are several drinks in there that I'm like, oh.
Yeah, they just
Like,
did a fun job with the drinks. Whether it's like a fuzzy tauntaun, it's going the foam
Yeah.
numbs your lips, or they got the drinks where it's like the CO2 basically, and the bubbles. It's just bubbling all over. They got fun drinks in there, and they have little snacky stuff in there you can eat
Again,
too.
theming, making you feel like you are really there, you are really experiencing it, you are really a part of it,
Right.
versus, just going to get a drink at a bar.
Right. No, it's Galaxy's Edge theming is crazy. I was gonna say out of this world, but that and I really wasn't trying to go down that road, so I tried to stop myself.
Oh, Bright Suns.
But they did a fantastic job with it, down to
Yeah.
the small details. They
Oh,
did a
for sure.
really good job.
For sure.
Now, you said Bright Suns. This is kind of off topic a little bit. When it first opened, that's how they would greet you, Bright Suns, instead of hello. They've kind of gotten away from some of that stuff.
A little bit. I think some of it has come back with the Halcyon opening and the Galactic Star
Maybe.
Cruiser opening because they are trying to continue that theming from the Galactic Star
Right.
Cruiser. And so I think some of it has come back, and I think you've finally gotten more people who are used to it.
Yeah, because when it first opened, if you would ask where the restroom was, they'd be like, "What are you talking?" Basically, what do you mean?
Yeah.
What are you
so
talking about?
They will answer that now, where it's more, instead of being like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know your earthly customs. They've gotten away from that aspect, but you'll still hear them say Bright Suns. They'll still, talk about different things differently, but they don't act necessarily like they don't understand us.
Right.
Cast
Yeah, no,
member-wise.
they don't do that near as much as they used to.
Well, but I think it just became a problem of people being like, "You're supposed to be able to help me as a cast
Right.
member, and why aren't you helping me?" And then them having to break character in order
Right.
to help somebody. And
Yeah,
so
no, I get it. I get
I
it.
think they finally found a better mix of being
Yeah.
able to be in character with that and without having to lose the ability to help people.
Yeah. So sticking back there in Galaxy's Edge, one of the things I really hope comes back is you see Rey and Chewie, like, back there behind the scenes, like working on the ships and doing that kind of stuff still. But it used to be that they walked around. I'm really hoping that comes back as a part of the entertainment.
And I do think it is. And I thought it already had.
Those two, like, they have not been walking around there at Disney World. Characters have been walking around at Disneyland. Like, they've had all the Marvel characters walking around and doing some of that stuff.
Yeah,
so I'm very hopeful that it's going to return to Galaxy's Edge soon.
Yeah, that was one of the most fun interactions we've had.
Right.
Was when we took the kids in 2019 that Brooklyn got to interact with Rey, and Rey taught her how to use the Force.
Right. Brooklyn was trying to use the Force on Rey, and Rey's like, that's not going to work. You're not doing it right.
So she taught her how to position her hand and help her, and it was really fun, and it was a really good experience, and even just Chewie,
right.
You know, just like
Chewie just playing with people.
Yeah, and the little kids.
Right, and the stormtroopers walking through, and yeah.
I know. I keep saying that. I'm like, we got to come up with something fun to say to the stormtroopers to try to throw them off. I feel like they're now they're like the guards outside of Buckingham Palace,
right.
like type of thing where it's like you gotta try to you know.
You gotta try to get some kind of reaction out of them. Yeah.
It's become like a game, and some of them play it, and it's hilarious, and
right.
some of them are like, absolutely not.
Right.
So I'm interested to see how that plays out. But I mean, and I hope they bring back Jedi training.
Right.
As a part of that.
That's one thing that's really kind of missing. Like, as I was going down through my list and trying to come up with my must-dos, entertainment in this park has not returned back to the way it was.
It hasn't. And I think some of that is a staffing thing.
Possibly.
I think some of that has been still a... up until, like, say, the last 3 or 4 months, right? I think that was very much still a COVID thing. Mm-hmm. And I think we're getting out of that. So now it's, like, restaffing.
Right.
You know, some of those things. But I have a hard time with some of the entertainment that feels like it is not the crowd eater that it used to be.
Yeah.
So one of my must-dos, and it's mostly because the kids haven't really seen it or done it. We did it when they were really little, but neither of them remembers it, is going to Indiana Jones. Now, the only thing I'll say about that is that taking them to see the Indiana Jones stunt show is that there's so many parts about that I think that they're just going to be like, that's it?
I think we did it last time. Because that's Brooklyn's must-do, and she remembers it.
I don't think it was last time. If we did it, then it was when we did it in 2016.
Huh. Anyway, that was Brooklyn's must-do, too. Yeah, Indiana Jones, which is one of the few big shows that's open.
I don't think it is the crowd eater that it used to be, though.
No, I don't think it is. I don't think... It still eats crowds. Don't get me wrong, it still eats crowds, but... It's not like it used to be, because it was like standing room only every show. But I also don't think that the crowds that are going to Hollywood a lot, like that crowd, like I already said, that park draws more locals than probably any other park. And they're not necessarily wanting to go and see Indiana Jones each time.
Right.
And the 20-somethings don't necessarily have a huge connection to Indiana Jones. Because the last Indiana Jones that came out was straight trash.
Yeah.
It was awful.
So then now they are relying on those of us who are old enough to know the original and bringing our kids and doing that. And so as I think we get into seasons where you have more vacationers versus locals, you're going to see that eat up more people. They've got the big, huge fans running. Right. It's shaded. It's, for a lot of people, it's a nice break in the heat. Mm-hmm. So I think in the summer, we'll see more of it eating up crowds than we have more recently. But It is not, like, it is probably one of the things I'm most disappointed with as far as the entertainment aspect with Hollywood Studios is that, yeah, you have these thrill rides and you have all these people in lines, but you just do not quite have the same amount of crowd eating
No.
from entertainment aspects that you used to.
No, because even the Beauty and the Beast show that they got there, it doesn't eat crowds. Nothing like what it used to. You don't have parades there. You have some cavalcades.
Yes. That's short.
Right. Right. Oh, and this was actually Brooklyn's. She said Indiana Jones, and then she changed her mind to, because we talked about cavalcades, and we've talked about, they have a Pixar one, but what she really, really wants to do is meet Sully. You can meet Sully there. It's one of the character meet and greets that you can do there, which is kind of a unique one.
Did we meet Sully in 2016 or just Mike?
I don't think we've met
We met
Sully.
Mike.
We met Mike. I don't think we've met Sully.
Okay.
And we met Mike, like, way back in there.
That was actually back when the
Honey, I Shrunk the
Honey, I
Kids
Shrunk the Kids thing was still
still there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they hadn't destroyed everything yet for Galaxy's
For
Edge.
Galaxy's Edge, yeah.
The other thing that is not eating up crowds and is not open yet as far as entertainment, but I'm hoping is going to come back is Phantasmic.
That show is so good. And, like, news has come out on it. Like, there's a whole new scene. Like, they've taken some stuff out. Like, I think Pocahontas is now out. And they're adding some new stuff in there. They've kind of updated the sound system, the lasers, parts of the show. Like, that sucker eats up some crowds.
Oh, for sure. I mean, and granted, that's in the evening.
It's in the evening,
not...
which lines aren't bad at Hollywood Studios in the evening anyway.
Right. But again, you've got a bunch of people who are like, I'm not doing dinner here. We'll
Right.
ride rides and we'll go home and eat dinner. But it did eat up people, and it was a great way to end the night.
Right, it really was. It's it's a good show. The stinking song gets stuck in your head, so you'll be falling asleep and the song will be going through your head. I think if that show was going, that would probably be all of our must-dos. But since it's not, we all had to come up with something else. And Jackson's actually surprised me.
Okay.
His is he wants to meet Sorcerer Mickey.
I'm actually really excited about that one.
Yeah. So this is the only place you can meet him. I'm just kind of surprised that was his must-do. But our entertainment choices right now are kind of slim.
Yeah. He's not doing Frozen Sing-Along.
Nope.
And
he's not meeting Olaf.
He's not meeting Olaf. And I don't know that. So the Launching Bay characters were supposed to be coming back. So like Kylo Ren, Darth Vader, BB-8, and I don't know if he'll want to do that or not. We did do that last time we took them, but or at least a couple of them. We did Chewie and BB-8.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am of the, I mean, we both are, but I remember going to Hollywood Studios and before that MGM but Hollywood Studios having the big Sorcerer Mickey hat.
Right.
I mean, and that was...
Where you got your Kodak film.
It was. And I actually think the very first time we took the kids, I think the Sorcerer Mickey hat...
I think it was still there. Yeah.
If it wasn't when we took the kids, it was when we honeymooned. I mean, I feel like you and I have been there together when the hat was still there.
Right. One other one that I hope that's back, I haven't seen anything on it, but I hope it is the Green Army Men.
I do believe they're back.
With going around with their drums and just messing with people and just interacting.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun. Watching them go through Toy Story Land. It was fun. Kids enjoyed it. They were funny.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
they're a good group of dudes.
Yeah, it's a good show. If that show's back, then that's my must-do for this trip.
The Green Army Men?
The Green Army Men. Absolutely.
Okay.
I think they're fun.
Yeah.
I think they're entertaining. And it's a
And if you played the drums, that's what you would go and do at Disney World.
It's a breakup of some of the other things that are going on there in Toy Story Land. Because Toy Story Land is usually pretty stinking busy and pretty stinking hot.
Yeah.
It's it. There's no shade back there.
There really isn't, and maybe that's one of the reasons why we like it more in the sunset and the evening is because it's a little cooler. It's not quite so offensive on the pavement there, but it definitely gets warm back there.
It's the surface of the sun. It's hot
Okay,
back
can we
there.
not talk about that? Because I'm considering wearing black that day, so...
I am too. I don't know what we're thinking, but we're going to melt.
We're idiots.
Yeah.
I don't know. I am really excited about going to Hollywood Studios. One of the things that we did on this trip is the way we planned out our park reservation days, because Guardians of the Galaxy is opening before we go down there. We went ahead and booked 2 days of Epcot.
Right.
And we actually did that ahead of the announcement of Guardians, knowing that we thought it was coming.
There was a good possibility that it would be open.
Good possibility that it was coming, and I thought, well, if it isn't, we'll be able to likely change one of those park reservations to something else if we don't need the second day in Epcot. But we'd originally planned on those Epcot days being split days.
Yeah.
And I don't know now that is necessarily going to be the case.
Right.
Of being able to either get back to Hollywood Studios or Magic Kingdom on those days as a park hop. And it'll be interesting to see if we can...
we'll have to figure out something, because we can't do 2 full days in Epcot. It's just not going to...
Well, part of that, though, is that we have a dining reservation for lunch every day.
We'll figure out something.
But it'll be an interesting,
Right.
If we can get back to Hollywood Studios or not, because I do like, of the parks that I want to go back to, is usually Hollywood Studios and Magic Kingdom.
Right. It's absolutely those two. Hollywood Studios, just because the rides are really nice, and we may not have gotten to ride everything, and Magic Kingdom just because of the magic. Yeah.
Well, but I think it's that same thing. It's the theming, it's the magic of it all. It feels very immersive.
Right.
In that world.
Right. But we'll get to that one on the next episode, because next episode we get into Magic Kingdom. That's our next one, next week. So
we're going to talk about Magic Kingdom before we talk about Epcot?
We're going to talk about Magic Kingdom before we talk about Epcot.
Okay.
We're going in the order that we're going.
Okay.
So we're going to end with Epcot. So next week's Magic Kingdom.
I don't know how I'm going to pick. Okay.
Okay. But that's next week. So
wish me luck.
We'd love to hear anything you guys have to say on what your must-dos are, whether it's Hollywood Studios, maybe throw in Magic Kingdom, what you want us to think about. Anyway, you can do that at Twitter and Instagram. You can find us there at Salute to the Ears. And with that, go out and find your joy.
And have a magical week.